Hey, this is Wes Bailey at Wes Bailey, attorney at law, and it's going to be a long form content, not too long, but pretty long to kind of help people out. If you go to my Facebook page or my Instagram page, you're going to see maybe a minute or two of things we talk about. But today we're going to talk about family law issues, and you get the minute here and a minute there, but kind of try to bring it all together today. So, number one, if you're going through a divorce in Louisiana, you always have to be separated. Okay. That means different homes, different roofs. So you got to have a different roof. A lot of people lie about that. We know that you're gonna get people that lie, and they lie to the courts, they lie to family, they lie to friends, whatever. But Louisiana law says you have to be separate and apart for 6 months or a year if you have children. There's exceptions to that, and that's where you need an attorney. So this is all just kind of to educate you on how these things work, how these things are going to affect you, and what you need, because there's a lot of things you can do on your own before you get to an attorney, but I want to educate you first. So the separation is always a must. Always have to have separate roofs, you can't be in separate rooms in the house, roofs, different roof. Think of a different place. Think of a, mom, dad situation. Someone lives at the home, someone lives in an apartment, someone lives in a trailer, whatever that looks like. If you have kids, it's got to be a year. And during that year, you can file for divorce and deal with all those issues that are going on as far as custody is concerned. So you don't have to wait till the divorce is over to deal with custody. Now, any judge in Louisiana probably will tell you, that they want you to try to figure out what is best for the children, because no one knows what's best for the children like a mom and a dad. Those are the children that you know their situation, their daily activities, their schedules, their eating plans, all that good stuff. And going to court with a judge who doesn't know, and he's only going to hear the best side of your story and the best side of the other story, and then they're going to hear the worst about what you have going on. It's not really going to give you the best outcome. And usually the family law court gives people a very bad taste in their mouth, because it's serious. It's terrible things that people have to go through. So you want to be able to try to find a plan that might fit you. It's not always possible. You're not always working with the person on the other side that wants to work with you. That's okay. Of course, if you can't, and if you can, you still want to get an attorney, because you want to be able to kind of memorialize, put it on paper. Okay. Put the custody plan on paper. Put what is, the plan for holiday schedule. That's coming up pretty soon here. Those are always an issue in Louisiana. We got a ton of holidays. You got Mardi Gras, you got Easter, you got Thanksgiving, Christmas, summer vacation. And then there's those issues that keep on popping up, such as, school, where the kids are going to go to school at. You have a variety of different schooling options now. You have public school, private school, charter school, homeschool. Custody is not an easy thing. So that is why we always recommend having an attorney, because you got to think about all these different ins and outs of what's going on. An attorney's not going to just go into court and rake your other half over the coals. They're also going to be able to be there to guide you. That's why we're putting out this information for you, so you can be able to kind of have an informed decision before you get there. That's custody. Custody is always going to be about the best interest of the children. That's found in the Louisiana Civil Code, and that's generally what goes on. So a judge is not going to worry about how you feel as a mom or you feel as a dad. They're gonna worry about the best interest of a child. So that is going to be number one always. Of course, you're going to have people, and I'm probably going to have people in the comments and people in these videos that are going to say, that's not what the judge did. The judge knew this guy, or the judge found out about this, or the judge used it. I know. I'm not gonna belabor what happens in your individual cases, because a lot of things happen, and the news will tell you all different things. I'm saying that for the law, it's got to be about the best interest of the children. And I've seen a lot of great hearing officers, a lot of great judges go by that and go through it strenuously and labor through that. So if an attorney is going to tell you that a judge is going to go through that, they're telling you the truth. The best interest is got to control what's going on with the kids, and there's a number of elements in there. You can find it now just by Googling it and seeing what the best interests are of a custody case. So that's just a dealing with custody, and there's varieties of custody: joint custody, split custody, sole custody, and it's all depending on various factors. So the most common that you're probably into seeing in life is probably joint custody, where someone is where the domiciliary parent and the other person gets the kids for a certain amount of time, and they get them during big breaks or get them at other times. Excuse me. The best is for the children. So whatever works for the children is what works best for the parents too. How the parents are is a big deal too. So what's going on with the parents, their work schedule, a lot of issues that define what goes on with a parent is there a criminal history? Is there a drug history? Is there abuse history? Those go in heavily into a custodial agreement, and you have to vet those things out too. Those are things that lawyers will ask about. Those are things that lawyers will bring up: alcohol, drugs, criminal behavior. It happens on both sides. It happens for males and females. So men and women have all these problems. We're humans, so you see a lot of different varieties of custody issues going on. Split custodies, of course, are the 50-50, mom, dad share a week and a week, or they split the weeks up and the kids live very close to both parties. And that's a great thing. And as much as they can see each parent is the best of the best, if it's possible. Everybody has to work together on those things. So, and then you have your sole custody, where something very, very difficult happened. Maybe there was some severe abuse, severe molestation issues, or things of that nature that hurt people, and those things get brought up. Actually, more so than you believe. So, watch out for those as well. If those are issues, definitely bring that up to the court and bring it up to your attorney. This is more geared for people who are on the fence. If you don't have an attorney and you're thinking about an attorney and you're looking for information, this is to gear you towards someone who say, hey, this is all the information you need. The flip side of all this is also support. So child support, spousal support, interim spousal support, healthcare, all those things also weigh into a divorce, and they are hugely important. One, you got child support's got to be able to maintain the child's life, the food, housing, clothing, schooling, things of that nature. You also have interim spousal support. That's a support to keep just the status quo of the household going while the divorce is pending. That's a huge issue. And then you have permanent spousal support, which has its own litany of issues. A lot of people are going to call that alimony. So how does that look? It's looking a lot different today than it did 20, 30 years ago because of roles we play in society as a husband and wife. So you really want to talk to someone that deals with that. Not your buddy. I know you want to talk to your friends, you want to talk to your family, which is super important to have that emotional structure. But the thing about it is talk to somebody that's in court a lot about this stuff, because where you're at, let's say you're in a certain parish, and knowing how that parish deals with certain things is always going to be the biggest factor. Knowing, what has happened, what is the likely case. Your friend down the road might say, well, you should have this, this, and this. But I promise you, your friend, your buddy, you may not know everything that's going on behind closed doors. And their custody plan doesn't look the same as your custody plan. And they may blame it on their attorney or blame it on their judge, but are they telling you the truth? So you got to ask yourself those questions as well. there's a number of issues that go on like that. People just don't tell you all the truth all the time in their custody cases, but they will give you their 2 cents. So after all that's said and done, dealing with child support, dealing with interim support, dealing with spousal support after the fact, if those things are applicable, sometimes you can agree to all those things. That's another thing that people don't understand, is that you can agree to child support, you can agree to spousal support, you can agree to all those different things because you, the husband, the wife, the mom, the dad, you know your financial situation. And as the world turns, finances are a huge issue. So you know the deal. You know how much the house costs. You know how much the electricity costs, the car costs. You know if you're in debt. You know if you're out of debt. You know if you're underwater or if you're barely getting by. Those are issues you want to have with your spouse. And so giving you this 15, 20 minutes on YouTube is just to kind of spur the mind of what's going on, because groceries are not going down. Gas is not going down. Car bills aren't going down. To maintain a household and to maintain children, to maintain their lives, difficult thing. And that's why a judge or an attorney might advise, hey, let's see if we can, I don't know, maybe come to an agreement where you don't go bankrupt. And that happens in family law. I promise you, people go bankrupt. And I want you to look at that, look at those kind of conditions in your life. Third thing, and I brought this up earlier in another little small video, community property. What does community property look like? Community property is the things that you've acquired during your marriage, not your separate property, not the things that you have that you're talking about, like the car you had in college and then you got married, or things that are exceptions, which could be inheritances that you might have, or things that you bought before the property, or if you have a prenup. Prenups are definitely something that you need to check into that may give you a separation of property as well in a different way. That happens. So community property is things that you've acquired during the marriage. So when you get married, until when you get divorced, those things that you're bought together are yours together. You don't own one half, the other person owns the other half. It is one whole. You own one half of the whole thing. So if you have a house and you want to kind of deal with selling that house, what do? Well, you might have to sell that house. The house might have a lot of debt on it. It doesn't mean that you sell a house that's $100,000 and you get $100,000. No, you got to pay that debt off, because that debt is also what? Community debt. So the debt that you have together, the credit card issues, the house issues, the car issue, all that debt. It's not just the asset, but also the debts. So like I've talked about, community property, splitting that up looks in a variety of different ways. So you may have retirement from one job, retirement from another job. Think about that. Think about the things that you might have. And these are all issues. Everything is hugely important whenever you're dealing with a divorce. And I know that people go out there and they say, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm not going to talk to an attorney. This is what you're going to get is, bits and pieces of information. But every single family law case that I have is fact driven. It's specific to the people, specific to you, because everyone has a different lifestyle. Some things are the same. We all have to eat. We all have to have shelter. But the facts and circumstances are different. Okay? So as I always say less. Call Wes, 337-404-7716. And if you want to hear more, you want to go into depth, and you want to talk about this stuff, you can always send us a message, send us a DM. Our emails are out there. Our websites are out there. We'll put it all out there for you to be able to get a hold of us. But we wish you the very best. And we are always rooting for you and rooting for your life. Have a great one.